We're here today in Electric Family's headquarters, and we have a special guest that decided to drop by, Kompany Music. So this is Kyle.
Hello.
What's going on, Kyle? How are you?
How's it going? Great.
Thanks for
Good
coming
to see
by.
You. Yeah.
We wanted to sit down with him. We've got a little bit of a collaboration coming up with a bracelet and a merchandise piece towards the end of February. And we wanted to know a little bit more about the man here and the project, which is Kompany Music. And we wanted to start off a little bit to tell us a little bit about your drumming background. So tell us a little bit about that, and how did it come a part of your shows?
Yeah, drumming was a huge kind of like segue into production for me, because I feel like it really caught on quick, because all I was really doing for the first couple of weeks while I was learning was just sequencing a bunch of drums and having fun with rhythm, and then like rhythmic elements are kind of what's really like pushed my dubstep. And even though it's like small swingy stuff, like I feel like drummers just have a good like a good approach to bass music, like Wooly and a lot of my other like Phase One, a lot of my favorite dubstep dudes are really good at drums. So it was pretty important for me, and I've never really gotten into implementing it into like a live show.
Sure.
It's something my dad gets on my ass about all the time, because we used to jam a lot, because he's a bass player. I was a drummer, so he kind of got me into playing drums really early, because we could jam, and he even built a little soundproof room in our garage, which ended up becoming my studio when I was like grinding on music for 10 hours a day. So I'd say it was a really important segue, but one day I'm gonna have to like do some sort of drumming live, but I haven't played in so long, so I'm gonna have to rent a studio and get back on my game so I don't embarrass myself in front of a bunch of people.
So question, so if I'm a fan, I go to a Kompany Music show, do I expect live drums at each show? Is that kind of what you're going, where you're going?
I feel like there's the diehards that know I drummed for as long as they did, that are like back of their head waiting for me to maybe bust something out, but it's nothing I've done yet, so I don't think anyone has like that set expectation of like, oh, is he gonna bust out drums? Like when you see Sullivan King, you know, like you're gonna get guitar.
Sure.
Most of the time, you know, if he's sound checked for it or ready for it, you know, I'm sure certain like back-to-backs and stuff he doesn't play, so I feel like whenever I do bust it out, it's just gonna be a crazy like surprise, or like even I'll probably be super nervous to do that, so it's like something I could see myself doing in the future for sure. Very
cool.
Yeah.
So did you play any other instruments when you were younger growing up that kind of helped create who you are as a musician today, other than the drums?
I had attempted a few times, but nothing stuck with me more than percussion did. I guess I'd taken lessons for it, so I was a few steps ahead, and sometimes things, like if something didn't immediately catch my attention, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna try something else. So drums stuck with me for almost like 10 years, I think. And then I learned a bit of piano when I attended Icon Collective, as far as just mainly music theory and like small playing assignments. I could never like jam, you know, so I wouldn't say I know piano, but I learned some stuff from that. But definitely just drums for me on that one.
So this is a good transition. Question, Icon Collective seems to come up quite a bit with artists, and being in LA, it's a school where people can learn to go learn music production and then kind of catapult their career into DJing.
Yeah.
So I guess just quickly tell us, how was that experience at Icon Collective?
Man, nothing beats that first month, because the way I'd found out about Icon was through some friends on SoundCloud who were like also just kind of developing themselves. I noticed them getting better and better, and I was like, how are you learning? Like the resources on the internet were so minimal at the time, you know. It was like 2015 for me when I started going, so YouTube tutorials were kind of hard to come by, and especially like quality ones. So 2015
you attended Icon Collective?
I think I graduated at the end of 2015, so I must have started at the very end of 2014, something like that, like right when Nightmare and Slander and Keizo and those dudes were graduating. I was like attending while Sullivan King was about to graduate, and I remember seeing him there like ripping on laptop speakers. I was like, this guy's sick. But I had toured it with my parents, and it was expensive, and it wasn't something you could, you know, get a loan for at the time. It wasn't accredited. It was like a very unique school, but it was so just driven for exactly what I wanted to learn, and I was like, I'll do whatever I can to get there. And I went and applied and ended up, you know, getting in, and I had to like sell my car and save a bunch of money delivering pizzas to make it there. But it was just immediately, the second I started going there, I was like pedal to the metal, you know, I'm not just gonna get C's and do what I can to pass the class. I was commuting from Temecula. I would drive there and get there the second they opened and work on tunes until my classes. And then I would get out around like peak traffic times, and I had a 2-hour drive home. So I would just sit and chill until, you know, 11, until they closed. They had free coffee there. I would just be like jamming on a bunch of coffee and then drive back to Temecula. And, you know, those kind of hours add up, you know. When it comes to electronic music and production in general, where there's just a never-ending skill cap, like you'll never be content, you know. Like there was always so much more to learn, and I was just trying different genres I'd never touched before. I was like, I need to branch out as far as I can, absorb all this knowledge, everything they have to offer here. So then were you, you know, I know experienced with Somatics back in the day, and you were doing some sound design and selling things through Somatics. So are you still doing that, or is that a way to kind of, you know, help pay for some of the education that you got at Icon Collective? The Somatics thing was I feel like one of those really pivotal moments in like that brand, like the branch of a career, you know. There's like a lot of different things that happen, and some of the branches are a bit stronger where a lot of things, you know, branch off of that further. So I had graduated and gotten the job with Somatics within like a month apart. So it was perfect timing, because I graduated and I was like, cool, I'm like feeling a lot more confident with music, you know. But now it's like, can I make a living off of this, or do I have to go get a job where I'm working 40 hours a week? And those are 40 hours lost that I could be like shoveling into production, you know, because I was still in grind mode. I was like, I need to keep the momentum up, you know, stacking tunes. I had like a huge thing of unreleased tunes at the time that I was just shopping around. And, you know, when you have a big body of music that's cohesive and your production kind of stands out, you have a certain sound for you, it's like going to catch people's eyes a lot more than just like, yo, here's a banger single. So that kind of fell in my lap just in a perfect way, where I was like, oh, they're offering me this much to do production. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, so a friend of mine hooked me up with Drew, the guy from Somatics, and was like, here's my boy Kompany, here's his unreleased tunes. He wants to do a artist series pack with you, which is like a free sample pack where they have to follow me to download it. And I sent
the old follow to download.
Yeah, it was, they were on that stuff before it was like really, you know, implemented by upcoming artists and stuff like that, like bigger businesses who, you know, had teams behind it, were like on top of it, but artists were struggling, you know. It was like tough at the time. But
well, let's go here. So I always ask this question, and it kind of pertains to the brand. So when the discussion came up to collaborate with Electric Family, just curious, what were your thoughts? Why did you choose to collaborate with Electric Family?
It's extremely prestigious, you know, from as long as I can remember, like seeing my favorite artists collab with them, and then kind of learning a bit more about the company itself and how positive it is, and how all the charities are like very well researched, and like there's so many, like when scrolling through them, I was just like, wow, like all of this is, you know, really important stuff, that down to like mental health, clean water, you know, like everything.
Well, thank you for that.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I was just happy to see, you know, it's just like I've really looked up to it. So getting an offer like that is just something, it was kind of like something I've had in the back of my head for a while, and then it's finally happening. I'm
cool.
Yes, I made it.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, honored to have you here. Sweet. And appreciate the kind words.
Of course.
Let's talk about what you have coming up for the Kompany music project.
Yes. So I'm actually super excited. I had this whole month off in January. I just got off of a hectic run with Snails. It was awesome. But I'm just writing a bunch of music. You know, I have our collab coming up at the end of which is going to be sick, the bracelet and the merch item.
Very cool.
Super excited about that.
Yes, me too.
And I'm actually about to drop some new stuff with one of my good friends, Wooly, my best friends. So first release of 2020, we're teasing it today. It's going to be great.
Awesome, awesome. So speaking of Wooly, you have something interesting on your necklace.
Something of importance.
Why don't you tell
right
the fans about that? Because I think that is actually really special and something they'd want to know.
Yeah, I actually pretty much wear this everywhere. It has a lot of value to me. It was a gift that Wooly gave me. It's a USB hibachi knife. Dion Timmer and Adam Wooly himself have matching ones, and I always kind of wear it. It's a pretty cool gift. It doesn't like work as a USB, but it's still, you know, it's the thought that counts. So
what does it mean? What's the
we actually do this thing before we play back-to-backs together. We do the ceremonial touching of the tips of the hibachi knives. It's like the ceremonial unlocking of the Britam bomb. So we have some funny pictures of that too.
Well, you heard it here first. That's awesome. Like I think that's very cool. You guys have something special together.
Yeah, it's awesome. It means a lot to me, honestly.
Cool. And so here, when we do an interview at Electric Family, we always kind of finish with this one question. And the question is, if you see this artist wall here, imagine that it is a LED screen. You're playing with about 100,000 people, you're at EDC, and you have one last song, and you're controlling the LED screen, and you can put a message up to all the fans. What would your message be to everybody?
Yeah, that's tough because it's, you know, it's such a big crowd. You gotta, you know, put something up that counts. I would put something very dear to me. You know, I'd blast a big picture of my hound dog Sofie, my beautiful pet Sofie.
Sofie.
Because, you know, we're all about spreading positivity here, and hopefully it can bring a couple smiles.
You gotta love the dogs. You gotta love the dogs. So
love for the dogs.
Respect that for sure. Well, everybody, we are going to cut it here. We have Kompany music. Thank you for coming out today. Appreciate your time.
It was a blast.
And keep an eye out for his new music, new tour, and merch collab is the end of February. And we'll see you guys again soon.
Later.
Yeah.